So, all right. So the thing is, I have been watching so many of these bizarre bub videos, and there's like a few things that I've learned um through just like the continual obsessive watching of this ghost content for like 12 to 20 days now. One, don't ever buy a doll for any reason at any time. A girl I live with collects dolls, and I just feel like the more dolls you buy, the higher likelihood it is that you're going to buy a haunted one, new or old. Um, and two, there's a very loose understanding of what a Ouija board is and what they're capable of. And I've never used one and I probably never will. And I know that this is a very woo woo reason, but within my, like, one of the things that I remember retaining from all of the things that I've ever read on Astromatrix and also the pattern app, one line in particular was like, never use a Ouija board. And I was like, damn, like, why can't I use a Ouija board? That's very interesting. So there's this girl that I follow here on YouTube. Her name is Cody Crowley, and she wrote a book, Here Lies a Vengeful Bitch. Excellent book, but you should look at some of the content that she posts online because there was a story she told about using a Ouija board to connect with some sort of spirit in the woods. And it made the connection so palpable and unmistakably real. And from my understanding, and anybody who's used a Ouija board, I know it's just a game, and there's theoretically no evidence that says that you can use a Ouija board to contact the dead, blah, blah, blah. The fact of the matter is there's plenty of realistic experiences where individuals have contacted the dead. Now, I specifically feel that those who are stating that they used a Ouija board and now they're being haunted, that's either A, a coincidence, or B, they didn't say goodbye and close the portal between their world and the world that they were contacting, and that would have to do with a misunderstanding and or an ignorance to how to exist safely in that space and contact these beings without there being transient effects. And by transient effects, I mean they're transitioning into your world and now you're being affected. So, I'm watching Bizarre Bub, and I don't know where this video stands alone, but I'm watching a compilation from I think 2022, and it is the story about the ghost Gilbert, and the individual does um Jesus, there are just wasps galore out here. The individual does a history lesson on their home. She finds out that there is a ghost named Gilbert, and it was a little boy who used to live there. And for some reason, when they took a photo of the home, he was upstairs in this bedroom that she doesn't like being in. And she says in her video showing us the photo of the home that she just gets the feeling that he was abused by the family. And I absolutely get that vibe. So, what's interesting is that fast forward to years later, this woman now lives in the house, and her niece is contacting and speaking to this entity, Gilbert. Now, we don't know when Gilbert died, but he in the photo is like 5 or 6 years old, according to this woman, and I happen to believe her. He could be like as old as 8. Bro's haunting that room because it's his bedroom, right? And on the wall is a painting of a mischievous looking son. And it says the name Gilbert under it. And the painting is really weird. It looks like it's alive. And when they show the painting on camera, I could totally understand why the owner of the home felt like it was bizarre, because it is weird and it is very alive. It has the sensation of feeling alive. Um, and then her niece, who is communicating with this ghost, right, is trying to pry up a board in the room. They go under and they pry up the board in the room, and they find that there's a Ouija board in the room, and the yes and the no symbol is a sun and a moon, and the sun on the board looks exactly like the painting of Gilbert. So I was wondering if the people who lived in the house created, like before this person who lives there now, created a their own Ouija board where the yes and the no symbol was the sun and the moon, because that's very interesting, because that reminds me of like tarot in a way, where you can assign cards to being yes and no, and one could be the sun, which is like a really cool, jovial fucking card, and then the moon, which is like mystery and intuition and whatever, which could obviously be conceived as meaning the word no. And I also thought it would be very interesting as a concept to make your own Ouija board, dude. Like, how cool would that be to make your own Ouija board? And here's the thing, like, whether or not like I'm moving the thing, the thing that I can't remember the name of, is up for debate. Again, I've never played with one, but we all know as mediums that there are plenty of ways that you can use to contact the dead. And it stands to reason that if you are capable of contacting entities and you're doing it amateur style, but you happen to have the capacity to contact said entities, they would embody some part of your higher self and intuition and move through the movement of the little cursor thing. Right. And so therefore you would be able to communicate with that being at that time. It just has to do with the other stuff about fucking closing out the practice and like whatever, and like you're supposed to be like actually technically holding reverence and like holding these spirits in like regard, and if you're not doing that, you're probably leaving portals open. Um so I swear to God, Bizarre Bub is about to be like, it's because of the Ouija board that this child is still haunting the room. And I just like, fucking shut up, Bizarre Bub. He's all over this. It's because of the Ouija board nonsense. I'm like, it isn't. But I do think that that's very interesting. And it's almost as if the people who were there, like the people who lived there, contacted Gilbert, or rather, Gilbert contacted them. And then they made this Ouija board with the yes and the no. And they like literally used wood burning tools. I don't know what Ouija boards through all space and time have looked like, but it that's really cool if that is what happened. And that seems like a really interesting way to specifically connect to a ghost. So my question would be for the homeowner is, did you paint over the painting of the sun? And if so, did that help lessen the impact of the ghost? Did you get rid of the Ouija board that I feel like is site specific and connected specifically to Gilbert? Um, or did you contact a medium, which no one ever fucking contacts a medium? Or did you just close the door? Because I feel like there's the potentiality. Okay, so I feel like there's a potentiality for this ghost. A lot of ghosts, in my opinion, are stuck in places because they are like tethered to some sort of trauma that is preventing them from moving on, and they're like trapped in this place and they're like reliving this trauma over and over again, and for whatever reason they're unable to like let go and move on from that trauma, so they can't complete their death cycle, right? It stands to reason that if Gilbert is trapped there and he was being abused by his parents, that he would be inadvertently passing that abuse on to this person's niece. And that is actually what is troublesome about Gilbert being there, not the fact that Gilbert is there. And so my question would be, would be, would you, as the person in the home, use the Gilbert specific Ouija board to contact him and ask him what his intent is, and then take action as far as contacting a medium, getting rid of him with the expert of medium, etc., painting over the painting, doing smoke clearing, etc. Like, then what would you do? It's super interesting. And I think that I read a really interesting Reddit comment about Ouija boards, and he was like, "I have this copied and like saved in my notes somewhere, so I can copy and paste it because we talk so much about Ouija boards and how they're the root of evil." But it was definitely part of Satanic Panic, them becoming the root of evil, and them saying like there's no actually tangible way to test whether or not you can actually contact spirits. But like, there's no tangible way for me to test whether or not I can contact spirits with tarot unless I do tarot with people contacting spirits, and I have, and it's worked. And so it's like, I think it's the same thing. Like, you only have evidence for the thing if you have evidence for the thing, but that's also like not how science works. So it's like, I don't think that you can apply science to things that are paranormal all the time, but because of the rational world that people live in, that we sometimes want to be able to apply science to the irrational. And I just also don't think that that's how it works.